Bill Nye and Jason Sussberg, thank you so much for being here today. Bill Nye, you've gone from being the award-winning host of a popular TV kids show to now debating creationists and climate change deniers. Why are you so passionate about defending science?
Well, it's not just defending science, it's having enough scientists and engineers to solve problems in the near future. And this is why I'm so concerned about climate change, is that's going to be the biggest problem everybody's going to face in the next few decades. But then with regard to the creationists,
Charles Darwin never thought of evolution as anything other than a theory. He hoped
we need people to be able to think critically and to evaluate evidence and to decide if something is reasonable or not.
Do you think that today science is under attack, and if so, what's fueling it?
Well, the fossil fuel industry has been successful in introducing the idea that scientific uncertainty, plus or minus 2%, whatever, about this phenomenon and this temperature that day, whatever, is the same as plus or minus 100%. There's doubt about the whole thing.
The United States will withdraw.
What do you think of President Donald Trump and his environmental policies and actions, such as deciding to pull the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement?
Pulling out of the climate agreement is absolutely the wrong move, and I don't think it will last. That is to say, the people in this example of the Environmental Protection Agency, they're career bureaucrats that are going to be there after he's gone. And I think very quickly everything will flip back.
So, Jason, why did you make this documentary?
At the time, it was 2014. Bill had just debated Ken Ham in February of 2014.
Mr. Bill Nye and Mr. Ken Ham.
Ken Ham is the lead pastor of this organization called Answers in Genesis. He's probably America's most successful, well-known Christian fundamentalist creationist.
You can't prove the age of the earth, so you can never prove it's old.
And David and I, the other director, were debating it amongst ourselves. Was it smart for Bill to do this? Was this a good idea?
Radiometric dating does exist. The universe is accelerating. These are all provable facts.
And then ultimately we were wondering, hey, who is Bill Nye? Where is he now? And what has he been up to since the show? And we ended up getting in a room with Bill here in San Francisco, and we pitched him on our idea for the documentary. But it was born out of sort of Bill's public reemergence in 2014 after the debate.
Do you run the risk of giving people like Ken Ham, people with anti-science views, if you will, a platform to further promote their views and make them appear more mainstream than they actually are?
Well, the answer is yes, I guess. In the short term, I definitely empowered him, but we'll see about the medium term and the long term. The debate has had almost 6.5 million views. And as I tell everybody, my audience was not there in the room, and it was online. And I'm very skeptical that 6.5 million people are watching that because they're hoping to get reinforced with creationist views. I think they're realizing how serious the problem is. That by the problem, I mean raising generations of kids who won't be able to think for themselves.
Jason, what do you think is the role of filmmakers, artists, and other non-scientists in speaking out about the value of science in society?
I mean, it's incredibly important. As a storyteller, as a filmmaker, I don't have a background in science, neither does the other director. We are not engineers, but we appreciate the scientific method. And that's how we know what we know. And we can make better decisions with more data and more evidence. And so my job as a storyteller is to provide emotional stories that convey the scientific worldview. And there's no better person to actually follow than popular science communicators like Bill.
Bill, the film shows the uneasy relationship you have with celebrity. On the one hand, both craving it, and also on the other hand.
So I appreciate craving. What I wanted everybody was to be influential. But part of it is I didn't see it coming. And the other thing is it's a kid show host. People think they know you really well. It's sort of what you see is what you get. I mean, I am the guy on television. I am that same. Is that a true fact or a false fact?
Yeah, there's very little difference between the TV personality and the real human being. Bill's excited about science. He's great at explaining it, and what you see is what you get.
To that end, this whole thing, everybody, I love you all. Fans are your bread and butter. But the selfie thing is hard.
3, 2.
You gotta, yeah. You don't need a countdown, just go for it. People don't want to talk to me. They want a selfie to send to their friends or something. And it's hard for me.
Do you think this selfication, if you will, of society, which didn't exist when you were doing your show on PBS in the 90s, do you think that makes it in some respects harder to reach kids through science, perhaps because their attention span has gotten shorter?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Well, I'm just curious.
I'm kidding, that's a joke. Actually, here's what I tell everybody. Before the electric internet and mobile phones and all that, you would go to the doctor's office or the dentist's office and just watch yourself when you pick up a magazine. Just watch how fast you flip pages. People are the same. My claim is people are the same. What's different is how fast people are able to transmit to each other. That is a huge difference.
What surprised you the most about Bill Nye in the course of spending so many months working with him on this film?
I guess what was surprising was just how passionate he was about explaining the fundamentals of science every day. So everything turned into an info shop on how things work and the way they work. The flicker of a flame at dinner got explained in detail, so that was fun.
Bill, one of your mentors was Carl Sagan, the legendary astronomer whom you first met as a student at Cornell University. What influence did he have on you?
Carl Sagan changed my life. I don't think he meant to. Hey, there's a good example. I'm not sure Carl Sagan wanted to be famous, but like any professor, any teacher, he wanted to be influential. And he said, kids resonate to pure science. And that was just fantastic advice. And resonate was the verb that I remember so well. Don't just be a string of cool science tricks or magic tricks that rely on science. Focus on pure science, the big idea.
Bill Nye and Jason Sussberg, thank you so much both for being here today.
Thank you, Sheraz. This is very cool.
Thank you.